All right, everyone, good afternoon. How are you?
How are you?
You know what? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We don't need a microphone. I want to say it's so wonderful to be up here in Morgantown today and to really do something very special and something that I've been talking to people about for many, many years. I look around the room, I see some folks that we've been chatting about the importance of really doing more, much more as a state, to tackle the fentanyl destruction that we've seen and the substance abuse epidemic. And I see some of the elected officials, I see some of the community leaders, or frankly, I see some of the victims of what's happened to this terrible, terrible epidemic. And I know that as the state attorney general for 12 years, every single day, I would try to think of a new way to add value to fight this deadly drug epidemic. And I used to always focus in three main areas. I would say we're going to attack the problem from a supply, a demand, and an enforcement perspective. Supply, demand, and then look at the different ways that we can also do education and prevention. And I think what we're talking about today is focused on the enforcement side of the ledger, but we know that we still have a very big substance abuse problem. One of the reasons I wanted to run for governor is I think we can make a big, big difference in all these areas to start saving lives, a lot more than we ever have. I really do. This has been a personal passion of mine from the very beginning, because I remember when I became Attorney General, there was literally no substance abuse fighting unit, and we went to work. And so I will tell you, I'm so grateful to be here. This is it's a somber, but it's also a very special day, because if we're fortunate enough, what happened to Lauren will never, ever happen again. So today, I'm here with Michael and Sherry Cole, Lauren's parents. Michael's also the founder and chairman of Lauren's Wish. We're here with Senator Brian Helton, one of the real drivers of the legislation. Senator Mike Oliverio has played a critical part. I know he's very passionate about that. Thank you, Senator, for coming. We have Delegate Marshall Clay, who's here somewhere. Where is he? Well, there he is. There you go. We have Delegate David McCormick, who, if he isn't talking to me about this issue, he's talking to me about the roads. Delegate McCormick. We have County Commissioner Sean Sikora. And then we have the prosecutor, Gabriel Machola. Where's the prosecutor? Thank you very much, Madam Prosecutor. We have the Assistant Prosecutor, Brandon Benchoff. Thank you very much. We're also joined by members of the Lauren's Wish Board of Directors. So I'd like everyone to raise their hand if you're on the Board of Directors. Thank you to all of you, and a number of you have been pushing me to be helpful for years. I've been trying my best to do it. I think I didn't see Jonathan Board here yet from the West Virginia First Foundation, but when we put that settlement money together, it was designed for organizations just like this. And so that's what we had in mind, and we had to put the structure together and get the legislature to pass, but I think it's going to lead to some pretty incredible things for the Mountain State. So I don't know if Jonathan's going to make it, but I will tell you, Jonathan Board I couldn't think of a better leader for the West Virginia First Foundation. He's a superstar, and I'm really glad that he's running that structure. I'm sorry, I missed that. He was not in the sheet. I apologize. So you weren't in the remarks, but Senator Jay Taylor from Taylor County. Absolutely. And then we know there are a lot of other friends and supporters here in this room, and I'm grateful that you're all here. Hey, Joe, how you doing? All right. So in West Virginia, we all know we've had a long and arduous history fighting substance abuse. It goes back many, many decades. And it's ripped through our communities like a vengeance. And it's destroyed many lives. It's laid waste to generations of West Virginians. Now, over the last 10, 15 years, many of us have worked really hard to fight it, to try to either get folks the help they need through treatment, to have accountability within the pharmaceutical supply side, to do the right education and prevention work to really make a difference. a lot of the work is done not just by state officials, but quite frankly by you folks right on the ground in the community. Folks who are encountering the day-to-day problems of substance abuse disorder. I know that as Attorney General, we in West Virginia were able to get the highest per capita settlements in America. And that took a lot of work. You know, I got pounded. A lot of people didn't know what we were trying to do. We were able to bring in some really good settlements. And now obviously the key is to spend that money wisely and not only just make it stretch, but have it make a big difference. And so I'm blessed to be here today and now be in a position as governor where I get to advance this good work even further. I think all of us are working together so that the opioid scourge and fentanyl abuse and addiction, that's something of the past. But in recent years, we have to all acknowledge that America has had a new challenge. You've seen it on Fox, you've seen it on many media outlets. Fentanyl has poured into our country at an alarming rate. It's coming across the southern border. It's coming between ports of entry. It's coming within the ports of entry. I am grateful that the Trump administration is prioritizing closing down the border. I think that makes a big difference. And for us in West Virginia, we are a border state when it comes to what's happening, because as those people come across and as drugs are smuggled in, we feel the impact of that through deadly fentanyl ultimately making its way right here to West Virginia. That's one of the reasons why I've been a big advocate of listing fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. And I constantly called on, over the last decade, for the feds to put more of a priority on prosecuting fentanyl dealers. There was a big problem on federal prosecutions in the past, inadequate resources that were put to bear. And that's why I'm especially grateful to be here today, because I think you see the state of West Virginia stepping up. In many ways, we know fentanyl is a drug unlike much of what we've seen before. It's far more powerful than other drugs. An amount comparable to just 5 grains of sand is enough for a lethal dose. We hear stories of first responders who touch sometimes fentanyl or carfentanil, and you could be killed shortly. This is really serious, and it's incredibly dangerous. So many people who are ingesting fentanyl now, they do it accidentally while they're trying to use other substances. And sadly, that's why we're here today at Lauren's Wish. Lauren's Wish is a nonprofit organization, great organization, started here in the state to help those struggling with substance abuse disorder find hope and recover from addiction. It's named in memory of Lauren Cole, whose parents are obviously here today. Lauren, for those who don't know, was a 26-year-old Morgantown native and WVU graduate who died after ingesting drugs laced with fentanyl in July of 2020. Now, the criminals responsible for her death, they're currently serving a 15-year sentence. Quite frankly, I don't believe that's enough time for such a heinous act and something that's more synonymous with murder than drug dealing. That's why today I'll be signing Senate Bill 196. It's known as Lauren's Law. It increases penalties for crimes involving fentanyl and other deadly substances in West Virginia. Under this legislation, Lauren's killers in the future would be penalized by up to 40 years in prison, up to 40 years. Additionally, anyone guilty of transporting a controlled substance into the state will also face stricter penalties, up to 30 years for more than 5 grams of fentanyl. We're targeting those dealers. Lauren's Law, we think, can be instrumental in helping our state deal with the drug epidemic, part of the enforcement side of the equation. And it does take direct aim at the drug dealers. And boy, do we have a message for those drug dealers today. Lauren's Law relaxes the requirement to qualify for sentencing enhancement for the delivery of fentanyl It increases all the penalties for transporting fentanyl into the state and conspiracy to transport. It creates mandatory prison centers for top-tier drug offenses. Creates a new offense for delivery resulting in death with a mandatory 10 to 40-year sentence. New offense for drug kingpins with a mandatory sentence of 10 to 40 years. I'm thankful for the legislature, I really am, for working together to get this important piece of legislation passed. I had a chance to look through this law yesterday as I was going through the 249 laws that I have to look through and decide what to do with. I think we made our way through all but about 40 so far. Still have a few more left, but I spent time with this yesterday for a reason, to prepare for today. I think it's an important piece of work. I'm also especially grateful for Michael and Sherry, Lauren's parents, not only for what you've gone through, and no one could talk to you about that, you've been so brave, but what you represent and what you did after Lauren's death. Thank you. You guys have been so incredible in the process. So it's terrific to be here today and celebrate and to work with so many incredible people. We know that to take on the drug crisis, we're going to have to be holistic, tackle from a supply, a demand, and educational perspective. But today, we take a major step forward on enforcement. And at the end of the day, this is about sending a message to those drug dealers. We're going to constantly be looking for you. We're going to be targeting you. And by God, we're going to hold you accountable. If you come into the state of West Virginia, you try to harm our people, you are going to be in prison for a very, very long time. So I want to thank you all for coming. And most importantly, I wanted to make sure we could hear from Lauren's parents, Michael and Sherry Cole. Yes, Mark.
Good afternoon, and thanks for everyone showing up today. Lauren's Law, when I first learned about the individual, one of the individuals that sold to Lauren, had been charged and arrested over 5 times for selling fentanyl. He should have never been on the street. And when I learned that, I made a decision that we're going to do something about this. We're not going to let this continue. This law is not just for Lauren, but this law is for Matt Pelagius, for Derek Kreitzer, and everybody else that we've lost. In 2021, we've lost over 107,000 individuals in the United States due to poisoning and overdose. In 22, we lost over 110,000. In 23, we lost over 114,000. We're not going to put up with this. West Virginia, unfortunately, has led the nation in number of overdose deaths per capita for 14 years in a row. And that's enough. We're going to make the penalties more severe so that it's not inviting for them to come. You're not going to sell today and be out on the street tomorrow. You're not going to target our youth. You're not going to take a generation away from us. You're not going to do it here. Very grateful for the legislature and Governor Morrisey for stepping behind this and making sure that we can implement this in our state. We're going to push them elsewhere. This epidemic is not happening under bridges and in back alleys. This is happening in our homes, our schools, and our workplaces. It doesn't discriminate. Individuals, unfortunately, our youth especially, experiment. You can't do that today. With what's being sold out in the street, 55% of it could contain a lethal dose of fentanyl. There is no room for experimentation. Our kids should learn from their mistakes, not die from them. We need to understand why they go after us to begin with, how they're dealing with pressures. But we're going to deal with this. As you had mentioned, Lauren's Wish opened 2.5 years ago after a conversation that I had with my daughter Lauren, and when Eddie lost his nephew, we had a conversation and said now it's time to make a stand. We're not going to let this happen. Lauren's Wish addresses those that suffer from substance use disorder. We have tremendous staff that brings these individuals in, gets them placed into long-term recovery. But part of this whole epidemic, not only are we going to help them, those that are suffering, we're going to educate our community, but we're also now going to work on choking out the supply. It's another piece of the puzzle that's going to help us get through this. And again, I want to thank everyone for coming, everyone supporting. We are going to make a difference together. Again, it's the worst epidemic that's ever hit the United States. It's the only way we're going to win is to pull together in battle. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Michael. And now I want to take a moment and thank again the legislators who worked so tirelessly on this, everyone who voted for it, and also the legislators who really shepherded this bill through the process. We have a lot of the leaders here today, and we're going to hear from Senator Michael Helton and any other legislator that wants to have some remarks. Senator Helton.
You know, I'm just so excited to be here today. Over the past several months, I've got to know Michael and Sherry Cole. First of all, with a visit here with Jonathan Ward from the First Foundation, and once seeing Coach and all the activities going on here and spending the day, I realized that this is truly a place of recovery and hope. And out of a terrible tragedy, we've seen victory here today with Lawrence Witch. One of the nation's highest recovery rates to be able to pass people on to the next level of care. These are great people here doing great work, and we're just really all blessed to be here today. I'm so thankful we have a governor who gives up his busy schedule, drives halfway across the state to sign this law into effect, to send a message to the drug dealers, those who are dealing death here in West Virginia, a message that we're closed for business, and you're going to get locked up when you come to West Virginia, and we're going to throw away the key. There's so many legislators that have been a big part of this. Those here with us today, Senator Oliverio, who's been longtime friends of the Coles. Eddie and Becky, you guys both have children, beautiful children up here, that also were dealt death and were taken way too early. These people have formed an amazing thing here together out of the tragedy and out of the ashes. You know, I just can't imagine our children shouldn't go before we do. And just a heartbreaking moment in life. I can't even imagine what that would feel like to turn this into what we see today. You know, here in West Virginia, we're part of a scourge that maybe hasn't been perpetrated on any civilization ever. Our children and our citizens are being targeted at a level that's never been seen before. As mentioned earlier, we're 50th in the nation in overdose rates. We're 50th in addiction rates. We're seeing our babies more instances than in any other state are being born with neonatal abstinence syndrome. We have the lowest birth weights. I didn't say birth rates. Actually, birth weights. Our babies are born smaller than anywhere else in the country right now. We're the second most prescribed medications in the nation, but we have the 50th worst health outcomes. We have more children being taken from the home than any other state. It's not even close. Our human services, our CPS, our foster care are just overwhelmed. And I think Governor Morrisey has great plans to tackle that. We're across all age and genders, we're last place when it comes to workforce participation. West Virginia's GDP, our overall economy, has been estimated at around $80 billion. Well, $8.8 billion from the Ford study, and there's other studies that say the same thing, are spent directly on substance use disorder. We have 23 state agencies that deal with this every day. Our system's just completely overwhelmed. In 2023, we spent $129 million on treatment facilities. And that doesn't count the $70 million our state spent for Suboxone and methadone clinics. Our Behavioral Health Bureau, $70 million. And the list can just go on and on and on. And so our state's economy, we can get our workforce participation taken care of, and we can start saving our children more and more if we can keep this deadly substance out of our state. And so I think today's a day to celebrate when people come together and work hard to get things across the finish line. And we have the leadership in our state to recognize and understand that our children's lives are worth defending. And we need to stand up and fight for our kids like never before. So that's what we're here to do today. It's a day where we can all take part in that. There were so many people, there were so many times through this process as we worked through the legislative process where people came in and we never really had any resistance. There was one vote against it in the Senate and one vote against it in the House. Other than that, it was unanimously passed. And I'm up here today speaking, but I definitely am not the one to take credit for this. It was a body of work, a whole group of people, not only within the legislature, but stakeholders from all different areas, from prosecutors to law enforcement, across the board coming together to make a meaningful change here in West Virginia, that we're going to send this message once and for all that West Virginia's borders are closed to drug dealers. And if you come here, we're going to lock you up and we're going to throw away the keys. So thank you, Governor Morrisey, for being here today. Thank you, Mr.
Any of the other legislators want to say a word? Senator?
Just very briefly, I want to recognize the tremendous work that Brian did with this legislation, along with my colleague, Vince Deeds. Vince Deeds is a state senator from Greenbrier County, a retired state trooper. He saw this firsthand, and two of them really took a leadership role, and I was proud to support their efforts and proud to offer that amendment to create the name of the bill. And so we're excited. Today, I just wanted to thank our governor. Senator Help and I visited with the Coles in the governor's reception area, and the governor was busy with 100 things, and he came out, spent some time with us. And I said, Governor, I think this would be a wonderful opportunity for you to come to Morgantown and sign this bill into law. He said, I'll do it. And he's here. He honored that commitment to be here. I think that draws more attention to this. We want attention drawn to this by the actions of this legislature, so that folks will think twice about doing this business in West Virginia and spreading this poison. So, Governor, we appreciate you not only signing the bill, but making a special effort to come here today and highlight this issue and attempt to create a greater deterrent. So, I also want to thank my friends, these guys in the front row that I grew up with, who have made this possible. Taken an incredible tragedy and turned it into something that has served our community. So Ed and John and Mike and Sherry, proud to be part of the graduating class with you all, and honored to see what you've been able to do out of these tragic situations.
Thank you. Any other comments or senators? Well, I think it's now time for the main event. We're going to officially sign this into law, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming here. To be able to take such tragedies and hopefully turn them into things that are going to lead to saving the lives for so many people into the future. I want to thank all of you, the victims, for your bravery, your courage, your perseverance in pushing through. Not easy. And my heart goes out to all of you. But now you have a chance to build from the ashes, to do some incredible things, to help save another generation from senseless death. So thank you. And we head on over, sign the bill. You guys want to come around? Yeah. Let's say the 24th? I think it is, right? Okay. guys, thank you very much.